Broncos have stacked a couple of good rookie draft classes on top of each other, but who from last year is ready to step up as sophomores? Our countdown to camp series continues. I'm Phil Milani alongside Sidney Jones and Eric Dalala. We got a hard choice to answer here today. Which rookie from last season is ready to shine as a second-year player this season? Sidney, let's start with you.
You know, I know we talked about what a successful season would look like for Drew Lock at the start of this countdown to camp series. And, you know, based on what we talked about and, you know, the other guys who are coming into their second year, the first player that popped in my head when asked this question, Phil, is Drew Lock. I mean, based on all the second year guys on the team, I think he's going to make the biggest jump. And I think he is ready to make the biggest leap. You just look at how he finished his last season, only starting 5 games due to his thumb injury. But in those final 5 games, the Broncos went 4-1. He threw just over 1,000 yards, 7 touchdowns, and ended up with a 64.1, I think, completion percentage. That's not too shabby for a rookie who injured his throwing hand earlier that year.
Yeah, you know, I agree with Sidney that I think Drew Lock is going to take that step, but I think even if he does that, maybe he's in the conversation to be a top 15 quarterback. I think if first-round pick Noah Fant takes a step, you could be talking about him as a top 5 tight end in the game. Had 40 catches last year for almost 600 yards and 3 touchdowns. That's on pace with what George Kittle did as a rookie, what Travis Kelce did as a rookie, and I think you could see Noah Fant jump up into that 70 to 80 catch range, 700, 850 yards, 7 or 8 touchdowns. I mean, it would not shock me if he leads this team in receiving touchdowns, even over Cortland Sutton. You saw the comfort level that Drew Lock had with him toward the end of last season. I mean, I think of that throw in Houston in the middle of the end zone, not a lot of room to put that ball, and Drew trusted Noah Fant to make the catch. I think you'll see that a lot in 2020, and I think there's a really good chance Noah Fant ends up as a Pro Bowler in his second season.
And those two picks might be even connected. If Drew Lock takes a step, maybe Fant takes a step, and vice versa there too. What about a couple of other guys here? Dalton Reisner, a second-round pick last year, played all 16 games, just 3 penalties. Or maybe a guy like Draymond Jones. Anybody else stand out to you, Sidney?
You know, when we talk about who's going to take the biggest leap or the biggest jump, I think me and Eric already said it. Eric, Noah Fant was my second choice here, and I went back and forth between him and Drew. And like you said, Phil, I think if both of them are going to go back and forth, you know, if Drew has a good season, then Noah will too. And so I think those two are at the top of my list, but I think we're going to see big improvement from Reisner as well. I think he'll also have a good season.
Eric, you think Reisner could be a Pro Bowler next year?
Yeah, you know, Marshall Yanda retired out there in Baltimore, so I think there's a chance that Dalton Reisner can snag one of those Pro Bowl guard spots. Not a lot of statistics to go along with the guard position, but he did play well. He tossed Phillip Lindsay into the end zone for a touchdown when we were in Green Bay, so maybe a few more of those would be nice. But I think Draymond Jones is a guy you could be looking at with maybe 5 sacks this season. And hey, the fact that there's so many different rookies here to talk about speak to the depth of that draft class. And what I will be interested to see is you always hear about the jump from year 1 to year 2. And I think a lot of that is because of the off season. You get OTAs. You don't have to worry about the draft process. You can just be in the playbook. All that's been taken away because of COVID-19. And so can these guys still take the same jump they would under normal circumstances? Or are we going to see maybe Noah and Drew and Dalton maybe not progress as much as they would in a normal season?
So if Reisner throws in a few more running backs, then he'll make it.
Exactly. I think that's fair.
Got it. I like it too. All right, a couple of good picks there for second-year players ready to take the jump. We continue our countdown series tomorrow. What's this offense going to look like under Pat Shurmur? Until then, for Sidney Jones and Eric Dalala, I'm Phil Moore.